Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is Java with Ali and I am Ali and we're going to talk more about Java programming today. If you're new to the channel, welcome. And if you've already subscribed, please like, share and subscribe to other people so I know to make more. So today we're going to continue on with the databases, and before we get into connecting to the database, I want to draw your attention to a few things that you need to do beforehand, and that is configuration. So when you open up when you open up here, let me see, Window, Show View, Project Explorer on Eclipse, you can see I've got different packages, and in this case it's the system library that we need to update in order to use this. So we need to add a jar file, and in order to do that you right click and go to build path and configure build path. I think in Windows you can add it directly, as far as I remember from the last time I used it. Anyway, we are now in libraries. When you scroll down to class path, you say add external jars. When you click on that, you scroll to where you've downloaded it. So I had it in my downloads folder, and I just added apply and close. That's really important because otherwise it won't work. You need the correct connector. So if we go back to that again, just right click, build path, configure build path, and then libraries, and then you scroll down, and if there's nothing there, you click on class path, and then this option becomes available. If you click on anything else, it won't be there. Then you have to download the MySql connector Java jar file. You can get it on the internet. You just Google for connector Java jar file. For Mac, I'm using a Mac. So for Mac, there's no operating system that you can select for Mac. So you just select the generic one. There are other ones that you can download for Linux and Ubuntu and whatever your operating system is. Anyway, that's number one. Number two, because I'm using a Mac as well, I need to go to my system launchpad and go to your settings. So you have to go MySql, and your MySql workbench is there, but actually in the settings, I'll show you this after. Anyway, in the settings you have to start your server, otherwise you will be in your workbench like this trying to connect and it won't connect. Then you can go to copy JDBC connection string to clipboard, which we've already done. That connects to the local instance. It does not connect to the actual authors table. So that's another thing. And like I said, I showed you in the previous video, we had ID authors, first name, last name. And then once I go back to, if I want to select it, if I go to my schemas, which are my tables, right click, and I can go to select rows like so, and it will come up with all of the entries that I put in. If there's no entries, you can actually just select it anyway and type in whatever you want. So for, what am I going to say? Data, star. And then you have to go down here and press apply, and it should come up with the actual insert into. You can also use just the script itself as insert into, and like I said, there's keywords within SQL that you can do as well. You can use, so insert into blah, 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 and then values like so, and they're with single quotation marks. So that is apply, and then it says executed. So now we can get back into our Java. So if I go back to Eclipse then, once you've all that set up, It does take a little bit of time because there are some configurations maybe that you need to put in place. So let me go back to MySql workbench for a second. If I go to home, these are my connections to my local instance, and this is my schema. So my local instance, if I right click and go edit connection, it's important to have the correct username and password set up because we use that as well in our Java file. We also use in our Java file the exact same columns the way it's written here. So ID, authors with a capital A, first name with a capital N for name, and last name with a capital N as well. Or I could actually have this as second name, which I was using in the previous video. So if I want to use name and then query, run the thing, hopefully it runs. So here we have our get, oh yeah, there we go. And it takes the new information that I put into it as that. It's important when considering here, we've got last name and it's the exact same column the way it's written. So if I was to say second name, for example. Now, if you have a problem with your driver, that will also pop up, and that means that your jar file is missing. So do get that off the internet. You can see here unknown column. So do get that off the internet. That's the number one thing when you're connecting to your database as well. So also a couple of things to note when you're setting this up. So we have our driver manager here, which is going to take our JDBC driver, and that's our SQL connector that you're downloading as a jar file and putting it into Eclipse as an external jar file. If you move that file from that destination, you need to update where it is, your class path. That's important, number one. Number two, we ran through a little bit of this code in the previous video, and I'm just going to take a brief look at it again today because we're going to build on this. So we have connection, then we have our statement, then we have our create statement. So here is our select statement as a final string, all in capitals. It depends on where your workplace is, if they like underscores or not. Result set then is execute the query, and we're using the select statement. This is executing the query, and you can see all of this goes into the result set result set within these brackets. So we have result set metadata, get the metadata, get the column count, print out the actual sister authors table of books in the database, and then just with 2 lines in between, 2 empty lines in between, display the names of the columns in the result set, and then iterate through the columns and then print them out. Again with another line, and then you're taking again the get objects into the result set and then catching it. So it's fairly straightforward. The thing that you need to look out for are more to do with, here we have our Java SQL packages, which use the connection statement, driver manager, result set, result metadata, and SQL exception. The thing to look out for are the connections. So if you get, for instance, a driver manager error, you're missing your jar file. If you have an error in connection, it's usually to do with your MySql workbench settings. Now, what you can do in that case is set up a new connection, new local connection. Let's say test 2. Now we've got our host name, we have our root, and your default schema test. Test connection. and then put in your new password. Failed to connect, unknown database, which we don't have at the moment, so that's okay. It's connected. That should happen straight away. If it doesn't, you need to go into your settings in your MacBook. I'm going to pause here and show you the video, or the actual where to look. 1 second. So you can see here in my system preferences, it is, we have MySql, and you can start your MySql when the server starts up, and you can initialize a database, which I recommend doing, because then you have your database within your MySql workbench already. So this is where I found it, system preferences, and then I typed in MySql. It comes up with the little dolphin. And then you can start and stop your MySql instance. If I say stop MySql server, and then I go back to, let's say, so it's stopped now at the moment, and I go back to my Eclipse, this is the error that you will see once it runs. A connection refused. So communications link failure, connections refused. That's only because it was already established a connection previously. So if I go back here to my system preferences again and start. So I am also on the latest operating system update from Mac as well for this particular MacBook. Just to keep that in mind. So it might look a little bit differently when you're looking at your system preferences to start your system preferences for MySql. As you can see, this comes up like this. It's pretty nice to be able to connect to a database. And this is using JDBC as the protocol for communication. So with JDBC, we have the sub protocol as well you can use as well, and you can have the database as books. Now, the way that I've put this in is JDBC, MySql, localhost, the port number, and the actual database name. When you copy it from here, and I copy string to clipboard, it will just copy the connection. It won't copy the name of the database that you want to connect to. Keep that in mind, because it will just copy user and then whatever the username is. So it's root usually, and then I set it as a really low security password because it's just locally for this particular video. So if you like the video, please like, share and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. Stay safe out there. I hope you like it. If you have any questions, let me know, and I am going to continue on next week's video. So I hope you like working a little bit more on the back end, because we're going to continue with database stuff. Okay, happy Sunday, bye.